morning. Before I start, I want to thank you all for the great work you have done with the assignment and with all the previous work. I want you to keep up with the great work we have started this semester. Okay. The last topic we have covered was solving quadratic equations by factoring. Today we are going to learn another method to solve quadratic equations. So today's lesson is solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is this: x equal minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, everything divided by 2a. Okay? Again, what do we mean by solving quadratic equations? It means we are trying to find the roots or the zeros or the x-intercepts where the parabola cuts the x-axis. So we are going to find those x's where the parabola cuts the x-axis. As you see, not every parabola cuts the x-axis, so not every quadratic has a solution. Sometimes we have quadratics that we cannot solve because it doesn't have x-intercept. Sometimes we have one solution when it cuts in one point. Some other times we have two solutions when it cuts in two points like this. And we are going to see this more with something called the discriminant. I will explain that when we come to it. But for now, you must know that sometimes we have two solutions, sometimes we have one solution, and sometimes we have no solution. Okay? Not every quadratic has a solution. Sometimes we are able to factor the quadratic and find the zeros. Some other times we cannot factor because not every quadratic is factorable. So if we cannot factor, we need another method to find the zeros, and those usually, if we cannot factor, those are usually irrational roots. Irrational means under the square root we get something that we cannot find the square root exactly. We need to use a calculator and then it will be approximate. So irrational numbers like square root of 5, square root of 2, square root of 3, square root of 7, all of those are irrational roots. It's not our concern now, but I just wanted you to know that we are going to use this quadratic formula to solve. It is another method. It can work for any quadratic, especially we use this one when we cannot find the roots by factoring, find the x-intercepts by factoring. So this is another way to solve quadratic, usually used when factoring is not available. We cannot factor. Alright, so okay, we need to have some examples. So I will write the formula over here. X equal minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Everything, all this is divided by 2a. find those x-intercepts, and that means we must have y equals 0. So we must have a 0 in one side of the equation. Okay, so let us start with the first example. Example 1. Solve 2x squared plus 9x plus 6 equals 0. So in here, when I start, I look, do I have a 0 in one side? Yes, I do. So I can start to solve right away. We are going to solve using the quadratic formula. So I want to determine what is a, what is b, what is c. A is the number in front of the x squared, b is the number in front of x, c is the number by itself. It is the term that is not attached to x. So a equals 2, b equals 9, c equals 6. Then I will substitute for a, b, and c in the original, in the quadratic formula. X equal minus b, so minus b, minus 9, plus or minus square root of b squared, so 9 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c. Everything, we don't forget, we are dividing by 2 times a, which is 2. So, minus 9 stays here. We try to calculate what's under the square root. So, plus or minus the square root. We use BIDMAS. So, the first thing we do the one with the exponent. So, 9 squared is 81. Then, we do the multiplication. So, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 times 6 is negative 48. Everything divided by 4. Okay. Now, 81 minus 48. This is, I think, 53. No, 43. 43? 33. It is 33. So, this will be negative 9 plus or minus square root of 33 over 4. Okay. That means we have two solutions here. What are they? The first solution is x equal minus 9 plus square root of 33 over 4. This is the other solution. This is x1, this is x2 equal minus 9 minus square root of 33 over 4. Okay? These are the exact zeros. Those are the exact points where the curve will cut the x-axis. If we use a calculator to find the square root of 33, we can approximate this. It will not be accurate, it will not be exact, but it will give us a decimal answer. So, square root of 33 equals 5.7445. So we can say 5.74. So the first thing will be negative 9 plus 5.74 over 4, and the second one will be negative 9 minus 5.74 over 4. Okay, if we need more calculation, we check 9, enter, then divide by 4, and the result will be negative, it is not exact, it is approximately negative 0.814. And on the other side, we are going to have negative 9 minus 5.74 divided by 4. And this will be, the second solution is negative 3.685 means if we graph this quadratic, it will cut the x-axis at these two axes, 2 points. Okay, so this is how we apply the quadratic formula. Yes. Okay, so I want to give one more example at least. So let's do this one. 4x squared equals 12x minus 9. The problem in here, when we start, we cannot start right away. I cannot say A is 4, B is 12, C is negative 9. Why? Because I don't have a 0 in one side. So I must move everything to one side and leave a 0 here. So I will rewrite this as 4x squared minus 12x plus 9 equals 0. Then I will start to apply the quadratic formula. So A equals 4, B equals negative 12, C equals 9. Then I will use the formula. So x equals minus B, so minus negative 12, plus or minus square root. We take B with its sign. Square root of B squared, so negative 12 squared minus 4 times A times C. Everything divided by 2 times A. So negative 12 is positive 12, plus or minus square root. I want to calculate whatever inside here first, so I use big math, which is the square comes first. So square of negative 12 is 144. Negative 4 times 9, this 16 times 9, negative 16 times 9 is negative, oh, that's a good one, negative 144, everything divided by 8. So square root of this is 12 plus or minus square root of 0 over 8. So this is 12 over 8, which is, when we simplify this, it is 3 over 2, which is 1.1. What does that mean? You see here, when we get a value under the square root is 0, there is no plus or minus 0, so we have only one x-intercept at negative negative b over 2a, which is this. So what does that mean? It means when we graph this parabola, it will cut the x-axis in one point, which is 1.5, and it will be also the vertex. It is open up, yes. Okay? So this is a very good thing. When we get a 0 under the square root, we have only one x-intercept. If we get a positive under the square root, we have two x-intercept. What if we get a negative number under the square root? So if we get, like, we did this and we get negative 5 here. That means there is no solution and the curve may be something like this or something like that. Okay, we're going to talk about this. It's called discriminant, and we're going to do it tomorrow. But this is what I want you to learn today. That quadratic formula is another method to solve quadratic equations, and this is how we apply it. This is how we do it, and that's it. Okay, so have a wonderful day. I will give you some questions to work on, and see you tomorrow. Bye.